What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. So in today's video we have a lot to talk about. One of our cars was recently unfortunately totaled, but before we talk about that we have to check in some cars. And of course today we'll be taking my daily driver, my 97 Toyota 4Runner. Now you guys may notice that I am currently missing my partner in crime, HP, and that is because the last 2 weeks or so have been a tough couple of weeks in my household. You see, I got a horrible cold, like the worst cold that I have had in probably years. And of course, being that HP and I are together virtually 24/7, he now has that exact same cold. So as I'm recording this video, he is passed out on our living room couch. So I am doing the Turo / YouTube duties for the day. But don't worry, he will be back in another video, just not today's video. And here we have it, the two cars that need to be checked in today, the green Mazda, the Maserati, and we also have the Ford Focus coming back as well. Not too shabby in here. It's definitely needing a little bit of a cleaning, a little bit of a vacuuming. There's some questionable stuff in that cup holder, but not too bad at all. So this needs to be brought back to the house. I'll clean it and then we will drop it back off at the lot because it has a reservation in just about 1 hour. The thing about the garage remodel is that nothing is where it should be. So now we gotta go to the shed to make sure that we have the cleaning supplies that we need to get this car clean. We need one of these. Obviously can't get this open with one hand. Air freshener. Wipes. Now we got the Mazda done, but now we gotta go pick up the Maserati. But we're not gonna take my 4Runner to do that. For this, we'll take the boosted board. Whenever we're picking up a car and we're not planning on leaving our other car at the lot, we like to take the boosted board. That way we don't have to leave a car there. We can just take the board, load it into the car that we're picking up, and then we can bring it back home super easily. This is where having a lot that's super close to your house comes in a lot of handy. 2 minutes later, and we're here. Now, we actually don't keep the Maserati at the lot overnight, or at least most of the time we don't, really because we don't want to welcome people to vandalize the car, and because we live so close to the lot, we have a pretty good idea when the car is going to get rented out, and we're able to drop it off at a moment's notice. So typically what we'll do is we'll get the car returned from a rental, we'll get it all ready to go so that it can get rented out relatively quickly, but then we'll store it at our house rather than the lot, just for the sake of protecting the car. So now that most of the Turo cars are checked in and ready to go for the day, let's break down what you guys actually came here for, which was the total loss that we just experienced in our Turo fleet. But let's go find somewhere nice and quiet where we can really break down these numbers. So last week, HP and I got word that our 2009 Hyundai Accent was in an accident. Now, you guys may actually remember this car because this car was the topic of a video fairly recently, within the last, I think, month to 6 weeks time. And it was the topic of a video because over the summer, this car had an engine problem. It had a belt that snapped, and as a result, there was some engine damage that was done to the car. And because of this engine damage, this car was sitting in front of HP and I's house for very literally 4 or 5 months. It was sitting in front of our house forever. And finally, HP and I decided to hire somebody to fix the car. So HP has a mechanic friend who's a mechanic, and we hired him to fix the car for us. So after his friend had it in his possession for a month, he fixed the car. It cost $1,000. We were finally able to send it on its first rental. Well, unfortunately, the very first rental that this car went on after the engine was repaired, it was actually totaled. Now, I'm gonna put a photo of the car right here before the accident, and then I'll put a photo of it after the accident. Now, unfortunately, this is the only photo that we have of the car after its accident. The renter said that she was driving on the highway, somebody hit her, and then that caused for her to hit the person in front of her, and then the person in front of her to hit the person in front of them. So it was a 4-car accident, and this was the ultimate result. Now, what's sort of funny in a not super funny way is the fact that this car was totaled right after we did a bunch of work on the vehicle to make it last a long time on Turo. This is something that HP and I have dubbed the Turo Curse. It's the idea that you put money into the car and then it immediately gets wrecked. And this has in fact happened to HP and I a number of different occasions. A couple of years ago, we had a 2009 Ford Focus. HP did a lot of engine work to the car, and then right whenever he finished the engine work, it was totaled. Over the summer, we had our 2009 Toyota Yaris that we invested money into fixing and replacing all of the locks, and then within a couple of weeks after all of that work was done and after that money was invested, that car was totaled. And now this is another story of the Turo Curse. We invest $1,000 to make this car just the best that it can possibly be, fixing the engine, getting it Turo ready, and then it gets totaled on its first rental. So it's crazy to think that this has now happened 3 different times to us, and it really sucks. So we bought this car back in 2020 at the very beginning of the year. It actually was our very first car of the year for 2020, and it was the only car that we bought before the pandemic hit. And then once the pandemic hit, we took a break from buying cars for about 8 months. So this was one of the only cars that we purchased in the entire year of 2020. We paid $2,850 for this car. In 2020, this car made $2,338.57. That's after all of the expenses on that vehicle had been paid. And keep in mind that 2020 was a bit of a weird year because of the pandemic, because business was a bit slow. Then in 2021, this car made $2,150.60. This is again taking into account that this car sat for virtually 5 months because of the engine problems that it experienced over the summer. And this $2,150.60 does include the money that we invested into the engine. So that is after all expenses, all costs, all repairs had been paid for this car. Then yesterday we got word of what the settlement offer would be for this car, and the settlement offer for this car is $6,698.88, which is honestly, it blew me away considering the fact that we only paid $2,850 for this car back in 2020. So that means that once we account for all of the expenses, the cost of the vehicle, as well as the revenue and the settlement offer on this car, that means that this car made a total profit of $8,338.05 in the roughly 2 years that we owned it. Now, to be honest with you, I am super happy with that number. It is, of course, a bummer that this car was totaled because it was a good car, especially given the fact that we just replaced the entire engine, so it was pretty much as reliable as it was ever going to get. It also was pretty low mileage compared to some of our other cars. It was a 2009 and it had about 120,000 miles on it, so there theoretically could have been a lot of life left in this car, but ultimately it is what it is. It was totaled. There's nothing we can do about it. And of course, we did recently buy a Mazda 2 that we bought to replace the Hyundai on Turo, but this is just one of the many cars that we've had totaled for the year. In fact, this is our third total loss for 2021. We had our 2007 Ford Focus, which was totaled at the beginning of the year. We had our 2009 Toyota Yaris, which was totaled over the summer, and now we have our 2009 Hyundai Accent as well. Ultimately, this is one of the reasons why we talk about a lot on this channel, and I also talk about it on my main channel as well, why you guys should always buy cars below market value. If you buy cars below market value, then you not only have the ability to make money whenever you're renting out your car, make money whenever the car is damaged, but you also have the opportunity to make a lot of money whenever the car is totaled. And whenever you're dealing with the total loss of a vehicle, the purchase price of the vehicle is really when it comes into play. Your purchase price can truly make or break your profit margin once it comes down to either selling the car or dealing with a total loss. And in this case, we were able to make a lot of money off of the fact that the car was totaled. Buying below market value can truly make or break your Turo business. It is something that is so incredibly important, and it's something that I'll be talking about until the day I die. But like always, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that it gave you some insight into what happens whenever there is a total loss, kind of what the numbers can work out to be. Of course, total losses are never a good thing, but it is simply part of a Turo business, and you just got to deal with it whenever you're dealt the card of a total loss. Like always, if you have any questions, comments, if you have anything to add, make sure to leave a comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.